Hello everyone! In today's video I am gonna be finally planting my railing planters for summer. This is by far the latest I've ever planted my railing planters for summer. Usually I plant them at the beginning of May. Some years I planted them at the end of April, but this year is like really strange. It's the coldest year I've ever experienced gardening here. For example, we had temperatures below freezing in the month of May, which is crazy because technically our last frost date is the first week of April. But we had temperatures below freezing and then it rained a ton. Like, it's raining every single day. It's actually pretty difficult to record videos these days because it's raining all the time. So I figured, no point rushing. I'm just gonna wait for better days to arrive. But my spring planters look pretty terrible and I just can't stand looking at them anymore. So today I'm gonna be finally planting them for summer. But let me give you a quick look on how they look right now. Alright, so let me give you a closer look on this planter because this one still looks fairly decent. So we had a mix of pink and blue forget-me-nots that I grew from seeds, and also Pansy's Rococo mix. This is my favorite mix. I plant it every single year. I absolutely love these wavy ruffled petals, but this year I lost like 70% of them due to rot. Like, there's barely any of them blooming, which is pretty sad. And look how badly the soil is compacted. Like, I started with the soil level up about here, and now it compacted all the way until the bottom. And from the moment I planted these, which was sometime in fall, up until now, which is the end of May, I think I watered them only like once because it rained so much that the soil just never dries out. And this is how most of these planters look at the moment. So yeah, pretty terrible, and it's finally time to change it to something more colorful. Alright, so first I'm gonna clean them up, and it should go really fast. I bet the whole thing is gonna come out in one piece. That's how compacted the soil is. So let's just quickly clean them up, fill them with fresh potting mix, and then I'm gonna show you what I will be planting this year and tell you a little bit more about it. Okay, and just one quick information before I start. Both pansies and forget-me-nots are biennial. So we sow them the first year, they produce only foliage, and then they bloom in the second year. So I seeded all of this, it was I think June or July of 2023. Then they overwintered as young plants, and then they bloomed this spring. And as much as forget-me-nots are done blooming, so there's no point keeping them because they are not really gonna come back. They are biennial, so they only live for 2 years, and this is their second year. But pansies, they started to bloom pretty late this spring, so most of them, I mean those that survived, are still looking pretty fresh and pretty beautiful. So I would love to keep those because, as I said, these are my favorite pansies, and I'm just gonna pull them out and pot them into individual pots, and perhaps I can still enjoy them even until the end of autumn if they survive our summer heat. So I keep the planters attached because it's easier this way, but at the same time I'm trying to be careful not to spread soil on top of my neighbor's balcony. Well, as I said, it is all coming out in one piece. All right. Alright, so it's done. Just one thing that I wanted to show you here as well is how these planters are attached. That's a question I do get asked often. And as you can see, I drilled some holes at the back of this pot on both sides. And then I attached these planters with zip ties. And they've been attached like this, well, forever. The planters I had here before were also attached the same way. And they are not going anywhere. Like, you can't, even if you try to push them, you won't be able to push them through. And we have a pretty severe weather conditions here, very strong winds and storms and hailstorms, and it gets pretty intense, and I have never had any issue with these planters being attached to this way. Like all the other pots on my balcony have fell over in the wind at some point. These don't move, especially when they are full of soil and plants. No issue here. And these are the pansies that I saved. I think I saved about 3, but there was not much more to save, and even these are already, like you can see, are not looking their best. They have some yellow leaves and stuff like that, so hoping that they will bounce back once they have their own separate pots and better quality potting mix. Alright, so now I'm just gonna fill these planters with my own custom-made water-retaining potting mix. I just posted a video tutorial through a membership program on how to create it, what ingredients I use, what these ingredients are for. So if you're interested in joining my membership program, you can do so by either clicking the join button below the video or on the channel's main page and discover all the advantages and additional content that there is available for the silver members. Okay, so for this year's planters, I decided to keep it really simple, really low maintenance, and pretty budget friendly as well. Because usually I just go to my favorite nursery, I pick all kinds of colorful annual flowers and try to create some funny composition. And I'm going to show you here on the side what were my compositions in previous years. But I came to the conclusion, and I would love to know your thoughts on this, what you guys think. But I feel like when you have this many planters and they are kind of all lined up, I feel like it looks better when you keep it a little bit more simple. Like, I really love making compositions and playing with plants and stuff like that, but I feel like when you create something really colorful and there's a lot of texture involved and you repeat the same composition like 8 or 9 times, it can look a little bit distracting, versus when you create something more simple, it kind of looks more, I don't know, elegant, and it kind of blends in better with all the other plants that you already have in your balcony or container garden. So that's why this year I want to keep it really simple and pick plants that I know will bloom all summer long, that will be low maintenance, and I can enjoy them all the way until first frost. So let me show you my picks for this year. Okay, so my first pick is Diamond Frost Euphorbia. I really love this plant. I plant it on my balcony almost every single year. It does really well in full sun and in partial shade. And what we perceive as flowers are actually modified leaves called bracts. So such a lovely annual flower. And it's really, really low maintenance. Like, you don't have to do anything with it. You don't have to deadhead it. You don't even have to fertilize this plant. I mean, it does pretty well just on its own. It's such a lovely plant to use as a filler in your summer compositions, or just plant it on its own. Look how beautiful it looks, like a little white cloud. So I'm gonna mix my Diamond Frost Euphorbia with some really lovely begonias. These are double bloom pink begonias called Begonia Florence or Florence, depending on the website. Sometimes they are called Florence, sometimes Florence. And I planted these in a video where I shared with you how to plant summer bulbs and tubers. So it's been a couple of weeks, and as you can see, they are starting to put on some growth. Some of them start to produce some first flower buds. So I grew them from tubers, also to make it more budget friendly, because it's way cheaper to grow plants from bulbs and tubers than to buy mature plants in the nursery or in the garden center. So they don't look like much yet, but they are all starting to sprout. So I'm gonna just gently take them out of their containers, plant them in my summer planters, and then they can just grow on and hopefully start blooming in a couple of weeks. So the plan is to plant about 3 begonias and 2 Diamond Frost Euphorbia per container, and obviously those containers will not look like much yet today because begonias are just barely starting to grow, but they, up until now, they were kind of on the floor in the shade. So once I plant them in this premium quality potting mix up on the railings, they can catch some morning sunlight. I will start to fertilize them regularly, so they should start growing pretty rapidly now. So let's get it planted. Bonjour. Okay, so one last thing to do, to water and fertilize everything, and I'm gonna be using these two products at first for the first couple of weeks. So I have Alga Bloom, which is an organic fertilizer for the flowering phase, and then Additive Power Roots that helps with the transplant shock and helps your plants develop healthy root system. Then I'm gonna switch to something slightly different, but I'm gonna show you this later on once I give you updates on these planters mid-summer, once all of these plants put on some growth. So thanks so much for joining me today for this project. Hope you enjoyed it, and I cannot wait to give you some updates and to show you these planters in full bloom. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see each other in the next one.